The standard narrative frames U.S. military interventions as clear-cut victories or defeats based on battlefield outcomes. However, real-world data from the Middle East suggests a more dangerous paradox. Tactical dominance often triggers strategic failure. When a superpower achieves total battlefield superiority, dismantling regimes and decimating fleets, it frequently exhausts its own financial reserves and alienates key allies without solving the underlying political instability that caused the conflict in the first place. The win is real on paper, but it comes with a debt of geopolitical capital that erodes long-term hegemony faster than any single loss could. Consider the numbers from Afghanistan between 2015 and 2018. Combat air sorties firing munitions rose dramatically, jumping from roughly 100 per month in 2015 to over 500 monthly by early 2018. That represents a fourfold increase in firepower, yet Taliban territorial influence continued to grow during this exact period of maximum American effort. We see the same pattern when looking at annual figures where sorties firing munitions went from 411 per year in 2015 to 1,248 by 2015 to 1,248 by 2017. The tactical picture shows overwhelming force being applied, but the strategic reality is a stalled conflict that failed to halt enemy expansion despite massive escalation of kinetic action. This disconnect between effort and outcome forces us to ask what we actually get for our money. In Iraq alone, U.S. military spending reached $765 billion as of March 2019, with an additional estimated $100 billion from State Department and USAID programs over 2 decades. Despite this massive expenditure totaling nearly $900 billion in total resources, the central government remains fractured. The strategy treated complex civil wars as limited counterterrorism operations, ignoring the necessity of governance and economic development required for a stable peace. We dismantled regimes but failed to define workable grand strategic objectives for the post-conflict era. Quick resource note. I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. The result is that we have fought under 3 consecutive administrations without a clear strategy to end these conflicts or ensure stable peace. In Iraq, attempts to integrate Shiite and Sunni forces into a central government created an unworkable system with deep divisions. The resulting instability led to massive popular demonstrations and eroded relations with Baghdad following high-profile retaliatory strikes. Military action without political cohesion creates self-inflicted vulnerabilities that allow rival states to step in. When the U.S. effectively halted nation-building efforts, external powers like Iran, Russia, and Pakistan engaged with local actors independently of Washington, filling the power vacuum left by American withdrawal or indecision. This dynamic is not limited to past conflicts, it defines how we perceive future threats as well. Even in hypothetical high-intensity scenarios where tactical dominance appears absolute, such as a conflict scenario involving Iran, where leadership targets are eliminated and naval assets are sunk at scale, the strategic outcome remains ambiguous. The regime may survive the kinetic blow, but Tehran can still choke off traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. This action spikes global energy prices and inflicts severe economic costs on U.S. allies in the Gulf, rather than just the adversary itself. A tactical victory that eliminates leaders does not guarantee security if it triggers asymmetric retaliation against critical trade routes that sustain the American economy and its partners. The core failure lies in treating civil wars like terror hunts. We focus on who dies or what territory is taken, ignoring the political reality required for peace. When a superpower achieves total battlefield superiority without a clear exit strategy, it often exhausts its own financial reserves while alienating key allies through collateral damage and policy inconsistency. This creates a cycle where short-term tactical wins trigger long-term strategic failure. The U.S. spends billions to dismantle threats only to find that the underlying instability returns stronger because the political infrastructure was never built or sustained during the conflict. This explains why American influence often feels like it is shrinking despite military dominance. The cost of maintaining victory through force accumulates a debt in geopolitical capital and financial resources that erodes the very hegemony required to sustain future operations. We see two apparent victories turned into real-world defeats over a two-decade period, not because we lost battles, but because we failed to win the peace. The question is no longer whether we can destroy an enemy on a battlefield, but whether we can afford the strategic consequences of doing so without a viable political endgame. The incentive structure for American foreign policy has become misaligned with long-term stability. Leaders announce operations based on immediate tactical gains while ignoring the structural forces that will determine outcomes decades later. Allies begin to tolerate less pain from U.S. leadership as they see repeated failures in post-conflict planning, and rival states learn to exploit these gaps by offering alternatives where Washington cannot deliver security or economic growth. The paradox is clear. Total battlefield destruction does not equal strategic success if the victor leaves behind a power vacuum that rivals can fill more effectively than their own government could have managed. We must stop measuring winning only in terms of bodies counted or territory held. True victory requires sustainability, financial solvency, and political cohesion among local partners. When we fail to achieve these conditions, our tactical successes become strategic liabilities that weaken our position globally. The real cost of the Iraq conflict was not just the $900 billion spent, but the erosion of American credibility as a reliable partner capable of delivering long-term stability in complex regions. This reframes how we should view current and future interventions. It is not about who has more bombs or killed more enemies. It is about whether the outcome leaves us stronger or weaker than before we started. The data suggests that without a fundamental shift toward political strategy over military dominance, every tactical win will continue to trigger strategic failure, leaving the United States in an endless cycle of conflict with no clear path to resolution. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.